All right, just after 9 o'clock on a weekday at Carvers Gap at Roan Mountain, and I'm heading up. Right there's where I'm heading. It's gonna be a fun trip. Weather's supposed to be great. I'm gonna go to, I'm gonna see how it goes here. I might go all the way to Hump Mountain and do an out and back, or I might press on. So it's gonna be a darn good trip. Not too many people parked at the trailhead, so I'm gonna have a good time. It's windy out here though. I love this place. It's one of my favorite places. Been here many times before, but it's been over 3 years, so gotta enjoy it. I think it's one of the best places in North Carolina, Tennessee, to be honest. It's just gorgeous. Yeah, watch this. There's a lot of ice on the trail in places. I love these views. Climbed up a little ways already. I want to show you guys where I'm heading, just for some perspective. So that, all the way in the distance, is Big Hump. There's Little Hump. So we'll go over Little Hump, then Big Hump, and then past that is Doll Flats, which is a really nice camping area in the woods. And from there you only have about 3 miles or less to get to US 19E. Yeah, it's really nice to see that. 9 miles away. So this is the view from Round Bald. Absolutely stunning. Just blows me away every time. We've had snow up here recently, not just a couple patches. That's melted saw pictures recently where it was covered in snow. Did I tell you guys how much I love this place? I gotta say, of all the bald mountains in western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, that I really love, I think Roan Mountain has to be my favorite. I mean, the whole hike from Carvers Gap to US 19E. But once you get past Hump Mountain, of course, you know, you're out of the balds. You descend down into Doll Flats, and you keep going down the mountain all the way to US 19E. So you're in the green tunnel there, but this is probably the longest stretch where you're going to have expansive views anywhere in the southeast that I've ever seen, and I believe I've seen most of the best. Black Balsam's great, Max Patch, Big Bald, where I was heading to last week. Been there several times before, didn't make it last week. You'll have to see that video to know what I'm talking about. But this has to be my favorite because it is reminiscent of the western scenery, which I love, where you get those expansive views, and you know, you still get the forest as well. So it has a little bit of everything. There's water here as well. Not as many creeks until you get near US 19E, but there is plenty of water, mountain streams and whatnot, spring at Doll Flats. So, but yeah, I really love it. I've backpacked it. This will be my 5th time, 2nd time solo. Other 3 times were with friends. And there's a reason I keep coming back here. Reached Jane Bald. This also happens to be the thumbnail picture for my YouTube channel. Me standing in front of this back in 2019. My first backpacking trip here. I remember the lady had a bunch of dogs and she took the picture. She came down from New York and wanted to, I think she said she came here every year if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's one of my favorite spots. Well, I heard they came out and took care of this trail after the hurricane last fall. But damn, I guess this might have just happened. Or maybe they didn't do anything with this yet. But I heard it's pretty well maintained all the way to US 19E. So, minor inconvenience. Might have been here a while because it looks like it's pretty worn down. Alright, first I make the right to go to Grassy Ridge Bald. And then I come back here and get back on the AT, heading towards Big Hump all the way out there. Let's check it out. All right, made it to Grassy Ridge Summit. It's friggin' beautiful. I'll show you this over here. That's where I came from, all the way down there. Yeah, the forest definitely looks like it's had some blowdowns. I passed a few, but it's in pretty good shape because they're few and far between, and they've come out here and cut them back. So that's a good thing. Yeah, I'm almost to the Over Mountain shelter, I believe. I've not looked at the map, but I do remember I'm getting pretty close. So I'm gonna check it out. Can't stay there anymore though. And they were supposed to tear it down some time ago, but I want to see if it's still there because it is an iconic shelter on the Appalachian Trail in this whole section here. So hopefully it's still standing. So you see what I mean? There's definitely some fallen trees, but you see how they cut them back so they don't block the path. All right, I've reached Yellow Mountain Gap. Down here is the path to the shelter. Straight ahead is the AT. And that's the Over Mountain route that the militiamen took on the way to the Revolutionary War. It's a historic trail. So you see a little bit about the history of the trail there on the sign. That's a bummer. Looks like they finally made good on the promise to tear down the shelter because it was a hazard and they were worried about somebody getting hurt because it was in bad shape. Forgot how steep that climb was from where the Over Mountain shelter used to be. I'm still climbing. See the views behind me though. Pretty amazing. Whew. It's beautiful out today too. It's warmed up. Took my jacket off a long time ago when it was cold this morning. Count for the elevation too. 5,500 feet at 9 o'clock. This time of year it's going to be cold. I was supposed to get up to, I think 58 up here. That's what AllTrails said. So it's a really pleasant day. Clear blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. I'm loving it. All right, what lays ahead is the long climb up Little Hump Mountain. And it is pretty amazing. Grassy bald with great views. After that is Hump Mountain. Yeah, I love this climb here. So you don't mind climbing if you have rewards like this. That's why I've taken guys out here that weren't necessarily backpackers, and even they had a good time. Albeit, one friend didn't like the fact that I rated the hike moderate, and he was cussing me out the whole time, but he admitted he still had a good time. He's just, as he puts it, he's not built for hiking. So, but he did it. He's too stubborn to quit, especially with the camaraderie. It was 3 of us. One of the guys you've seen with me even recently, Gavin. He's in good shape, but the other friend, Arby, he just doesn't do this sort of a thing, but he had a good time nonetheless, and I think he'd do it again. Look at that. It's amazing. I'm loving this hike, man. These views just get better and better, and you thought you've seen the best. And we duck back into the trees here for a bit, come down and begin to climb up Hump Mountain. Well, the water's flowing, but it looks pretty dried up over here compared to times in the past when it was flowing better. So I'm going to get some water here and then crest Hump Mountain and decide on where I'm heading from there. There it is, Hump Mountain. It's one of my favorite summits. Just it looks amazing from down here. You see that and you get pretty excited knowing you're going to be on top of that with some effort. It does look like a big camel's hump. Yep, one of my favorite hikes. It's a tough climb, but it's a fun climb. These views are amazing. Long climb to the top. Taking my time, enjoying it. You thought you've reached the top when you've reached the fence. Still got to climb a little more. Made it to Hump Mountain. It is amazing up here. A little breezy. It's always breezy up here whenever I've been here. I remember I camped just below the top here while still on the bald. First time with a big Agnes copper spur tent, and didn't use my guy lines. And 4:30 in the morning, I remember the tent collapsed. That was the first time I backpacked this section. The tent collapsed on top of me and broke a tent pole. I sent it back to Big Agnes, and they recommended that I use my guy lines. So lesson learned. All right, down the trail here would be the way to Doll Flats. Great camping spot, but it's in the woods. And it'd be a hard climb to get back up out of there tomorrow, which I wanted to go to Hump Mountain and back because I've never done an out and back in this section. I've usually caught the shuttle. So I guess I'm going to go back to that campsite right at the base of Hump Mountain because it looked pretty nice before somebody else gets it, I guess. You never know because I've seen some thru hikers. All right, folks, I think I found my spot for the night. I think I'm going to pitch the hammock between these two trees, and I'm going to have a great view on top of Little Hump Mountain. I saw it, but there were some people here, so I didn't want to investigate further. And I did want to camp on a bald, even though I might have some winds come in at night. But I'm hammock camping, so I don't have to worry about that so much. And I don't even think I'm going to use my tarp. I'm going to take a chance that the forecast is true, and the low humidity means there's going to be no precipitation. And that will be cowboy camping in my mind, because hammock camping is more comfortable anyway than laying on the ground. You see, I've got a great view here. I should have about 8 miles to get out in the morning. So I'm going to set up and I'll talk to you in a bit. All right, I'm all set up. First time hammock camping on top of Little Hump Mountain. And I am going to have a good night, it looks like, because I'm all alone. It's not too windy either. I was worried about it being pretty windy, but you never know, that could change. But so far, it's really nice. Weather's perfect. Cross your fingers. Sun is shining. So I should have a good, clear night. Good view of the stars. And it looks like it's nearly a full moon. So we should have some light from the moon. I'm going to go over here to the kitchen, eat dinner, and enjoy the sunset, which is in about another 20 minutes. I'll show this to you real quick. I got all kinds of rock chairs. like somebody's on their way here. All right, I'm gonna have some biscuits and gravy. Never had this one from Mountain House before. I usually get the chicken and dumplings, which is pretty good. So I'll let you guys know what I think of this one. Just sounded good, so thought I'd try it. Yeah, that is really good. I recommend it. Biscuits and gravy by Mountain House. See, the sun is setting. Beautiful. I'm trying to capture a time lapse of the sunset with my GoPro there. So that will be up on the channel. So you'll have to check that out. One last look before I go to bed here. Now you can see the city lights. Roan Mountain, Tennessee down there, I'm assuming. After all, I am looking in that direction, so it's safe to assume that. Beautiful view. And the moon is almost full. Got the little light set up there. It'll be a cozy setup here. You see there's still a glow on the horizon from the sun which set about a half an hour ago. All right, talk to you guys in the morning. All right, it is the next day. Beautiful sunrise. It's just after 7. So the hammock, I should tell you, the hammock didn't work last night. You might be able to hear how the winds are coming in. Well, it blew up on my hammock and it was just very hard to sleep like that. Making all kinds of noise. The side of the hammock was flapping in the wind. So I decided to actually cowboy camp on the ground. On my air mattress, my sleeping bag. And I gotta tell you, I don't think it was terribly cold, but those winds just were wanting to blow right through my sleeping bag. And my sleeping bag is rated for 0 degrees. I still slept pretty warm. I used my hot hands, it helped. Anyway, I'm going to get back on the trail here and I'm going to stop at the Over Mountain Shelter, that location. Shelter's not there anymore, obviously. But I'm going to stop over there and have breakfast because I'm out of water and I need water there from the spring. Really beautiful out in the pre-dawn light where the sun is just starting to come up. Walking into the scenery. Like I said, I've never done an out and back here, so this is my first time going southbound at Roan Mountain. So it's definitely just as enjoyable as going northbound, in my opinion. But of course, I say that now. I've not gotten the final climbs out of the way, but I have Jane Bald and Round Bald to look forward to on the way back. So it is just out here, man. I know I've said that a lot on this trip, but you guys got to see this in person. All right, I've walked a little over 1.5 miles from where I camped on Little Hump. I'm gonna have breakfast right here. There's some people at the location of the Over Mountain Shelter, and I didn't want to be rude and go in there while I think some of them might be sleeping. I could see them from when I was coming down. They're in their tents. So I'm just gonna have breakfast here near the pipe spring. I got the water I needed. So I'm gonna have some mountain berry cobbler. Yeah, you wouldn't believe how many thru hikers I've seen already. So I think that's who most of the people are out here. They're thru hikers. They must have come in a early bubble or something. So after I eat this, I'm gonna get back on the trail and I should have about 6 miles, 6.5 miles. All right, I will say that going southbound here at Roan Mountain isn't really easier. At least not this final push to the top to get back up to the balds. It's been about 2 miles of climbing. Pretty consistent. But I'm used to it by now, so some would say it takes longer to get your trail legs, but for me, it seems to come on by day 2 on a backpacking trip anyway. Initial shock wears off, and then your feet are like, oh yeah, I remember this. So anyway, I'm almost there, back up to the balds. I made it back up to the grassy balds, and today it looks just as good as yesterday. So I really lucked out with the weather. All right, I made it back to the car at Carvers Gap, and I just wanted to say that that was an amazing trip. It's one of my favorite backpacking trips, and I'm happy to say I've finally done it out and back. It was really tough though. I mean, it was over 22 miles to get the Little Hump Mountain with over 4,000 feet elevation gain. I'll post all that in the final video in the description so you guys know if you want to do that rather than go all the way to US 19E where you'll catch a shuttle. This way it allows you to be independent and relying on yourself. So thanks for watching.